Live dito sa St. John's Wood, makakasama natin na isa sa mga candidate for Mayor of London, si Tarun Ghulati. Kaya naman, abangan lang sa Britanya ngayon. Kasama ko si Rafa. Good afternoon, and then it's a privilege to have you here today to talk about your campaign for this upcoming election this May 2. So, first question, what comes into your mind to run for a mayor for London?
I think that's an excellent question. Firstly, London has 9.6 million residents. 2.2 million are living in poverty. 33% of them are children. There are over 270 diaspora from different nations that call London home. I've lived all over the world, in all the continents. I believe some of them are feeling insular, divided. It's not the same place where they probably came into earlier. And we want to make sure that we bring these communities together. We want to make sure we bring back the smiles on the faces of everyone. London today is a broken place. It's come to a standstill. And the current mayor has made sure it's not the safe place it used to be. Traffic doesn't move. So it's the most congested city in the world and the slowest city in the world.
Okay, this is the most common campaign that we can see or we can hear from those people running for mayor of London. It's about the ULEZ. So what's your proposal about this ULEZ thing?
Well, I call it a disaster policy, which I'm going to abolish totally, not only the expansion, but ULEZ totally, because that is not actually cleaning the air. It's a cost of living crisis going on. People don't know whether to heat or to eat. So I want to make sure this £12.50 is not a burden anymore. First day, ULEZ needs to go totally.
Is congestion charge also part of your campaign?
110%. So congestion charge over weekends and holidays needs to go just as it used to be. So the freedom of movement is as important as the freedom of speech. So I want to make sure people can come into central London without the fear on a weekend.
So you don't believe that ULEZ and these congestion charges it's all because of environmental, effect to us. So what is your alternative? If the proposal to have ULEZ is to clean the air, so what will be is there anything that you have in mind to clean the air aside from ULEZ or congestion?
Let me clarify a myth.
Yeah.
ULEZ is only imposing fines. It is not cleaning the air. So the well-heeled people are already driving compliant cars, right?
Okay.
Let's say you're a carer and you're coming into London. You're having to pay £12.50. Now, that's not cleaning the air because you're anyways coming in. What is actually putting a burden in the air, you'll be surprised. Because of the slow-moving traffic, because of the low-traffic neighborhoods, which also I did not mention, these also need to go, the low-traffic neighborhoods.
Okay.
Right? So what is happening is, an average driver is spending 156 hours driving around in congestion. That is what is polluting the air. That is also imposing a growth hurdle because the driver is spending £1,375 on an average, losing that amount of money. Now, if you were to make the traffic move, the 20 mile per hour limit, unless it's close to a hospital or a school, when that goes away, when this ULEZ goes away, the congestion, traffic keeps moving the way it should be moving. That's when that 156 hours pollution will go away. People, and this is also causing, you'll be surprised, mental health problems, because if you're just driving around and talk to any driver, including an Uber driver, now they're having to spend longer hours in trying to go through their sort of money that we're earning. So I'm going to change all this.
Okay, Mr. Ghulati, all the candidates, when I read their manifesto or their campaign, they talk to a lot of things, but the most thing that I want to see is their thoughts or campaign for the health services.
Yes.
During pandemic time, all the frontliners are there. I'm one of the frontliner, maybe Rafa as well. But the thing is, in London itself, NHS worker in Scotland have a £500 raise, or they were given. But in London, only claps were given to many of our frontliners. What is your thoughts about it?
Well, that's an excellent question. Again, we were celebrating the frontliners.
Yeah.
I think the current mayor, who doesn't have total control of all the health services, but they've forgotten there is a moral responsibility. So if you look at my, the policies, I'm
Yeah.
looking at compensations. I'm looking at compensation for the police to hire the right sort of people. I'm looking at compensation again for the transport drivers so that we can avoid
Yeah.
these strikes that become history. I'm trying to open a fund, even if it's not within my direct purview, because I've been an investment banker. I've also been CEO of India's largest asset management company globally. I'm going to create an impact and societal fund wherein the health services come into fray, because I want to bring down the council taxes. I want to bring back the business rates, because the mayor's office has a percept that they charge to from the councils. I want to bring that down. And my particular fund, when I'm talking about social services, I want to uplift. There's a
Okay.
leveling up agenda there. So where it comes to a very valid point, you provide an excellent service, and I should be grateful for what you do to London and Londoners. We want to make sure you also benefit.
Okay. Another thing, we want to campaign that everybody should own their home or houses, but ridiculously, the prices of rental rates and even buying property in London is absolutely and ridiculously unbelievable. So, how can you help our London resident to have our own place to live?
Well, that's an excellent question, and that's a key priority for me. Firstly, it's not only about the place, it's making communities divisive. So what's happening is, think of any area.
Yeah.
So let's say I was in near I was, I think, in near Brick Lane
Yeah.
yesterday, and there were new structures that had come up. Gentrification takes place. Once that happens, the prices go up of an area. So the residents there can't afford the rental.
Yeah.
So they move away. The communities become, they lost
Yeah.
them. The youth engagement is gone. So I'm going to do several things for that. Firstly, affordable, genuine affordable housing. So create more affordable housing. But what's in it for the new developer?
Yeah.
So you offer incentives to the developer to construct, make sure there are targets to create affordable housing there.
Okay.
That needs to be rent control, because otherwise, even you look at a youngster, they can't even dream of buying a house.
Yeah,
So
that's
you're
true.
staying more, the mom and pop banks are not able to finance all the while. So what's happening is you create a structure, then you also create community land trusts. So let's say the Filipino community.
Yeah.
I want to do more for them. There are about over 150,000 of them possibly living in London. So when I create the community land trust, the Filipino community, when they have that land, can construct there,
Yeah.
so they're not being displaced. Yeah.
Okay, now you it's good that you mentioned about yourself being in the banking system for quite a long time. I
Yes, I
know
was a
that,
chairman of a bank.
yeah. One of the concern of many entrepreneurs that it's not easy for them to borrow money from the bank. So is this something that you can do, especially for our young entrepreneur who needs funding to make their own business?
That's again a very good question. Just to give you a bit of background, I'm on the board of the London Chamber of Commerce and
Yeah.
Industry, where I help Asian businesses. I'm also chairman for one of the world's largest startup foundations, where
Yeah.
we every year help thousands of startups, including funding. We
Yeah.
bring in angel and venture capital investors. I'm also the chairman of, again, these are all not for profit, one of the largest awards in the world, 21st Century Icon Awards, where we've helped finalists and winners from 44 different countries. So, what am I trying to say? Yes, we must help youngsters, and the startup system here is very
Yeah.
robust. But again, 60% of the funds, the venture funds, are still coming from the US. So, I want to have more homegrown funds. I want to make sure there is connectivity with the living bridge here. So, if
Yeah.
you're Filipinos living here, I want to have more interaction with the governments there. So, we bring in the funds. So, I'm going to make sure we help the because SMEs, they are the lifeline for every economy, and about
Yeah.
75 odd percent of the UK economy moves with that. So I'm going to help the businesses, because ultimately, you talked of funding, banks require tangible security. But then there are other ways of bringing funds. This is the sort of fund I'm talking about. I'm going to create new funds. So these funds are also for young entrepreneurs,
Yeah.
folks that are not getting money from banks. Because if you have a good business plan,
Yeah.
notwithstanding that, banks will still ask for tangible security. Because you want to help people with opportunities, those sort of funds will help the societal welfare, care, and
Yeah.
indeed young entrepreneurs and others who are struggling to get money from banks.
Okay, we all know that London is a cosmopolitan society, as they said, because
Yes.
there's a lot of races living in this area. Now, my question is that, if you will be elected as mayor, what is your plan? Do you have any plan of meeting all this diverse group, like Indian, Pakistani, Filipinos, African, so that, there will be really a sort of, um, you know what they want and how they feel about living in London.
Oh, that's again an excellent question. Firstly, I've lived all over the world in all the
Okay.
continents, so I understand cultural nuances. So I've lived in Asia Pacific, I've lived in Africa, I've lived in the Middle East, and done a lot of work with America. So I understand, and I've traveled a lot to the Philippines, by the way. Makati is my favorite.
Oh,
So I've spent a lot of time in the Philippines, and as far as I'm concerned, this is like a global bank. London is like a global bank, multicultural, where people come in to thrive and people come in
yeah,
to make a success of their lives, of their visions, their own dreams. And I want to make sure, I want to create the balance sheet of London such that it's profitable in the sense that it's for everybody's well-being. So to answer your question specifically, I am not the sort of person who likes to sit in an office. I meet people on a daily basis, go to cross to all the boroughs. A success of a mayor is if you bring all the people together across boroughs, all the communities.
yeah,
So you visit communities, you have advisors from these communities within the mayor's office, so that what a particular community does. Let's take the Filipino community
yeah,
again. You understand the culture, the problems, the issues, even the aspirations
yeah,
better. So what happens is you get their advice. Once you get their advice, you can make things happen. You can't have a one size fit all. So that will be my key goal to ensure, because there's a strife going on in Europe. There is again a war going on in the Middle East. You want to
yeah,
make sure all communities in London thrive. And if you're sitting in a plane, while we're sitting in the aircraft, we are sitting in the seat, but a lot of factors come together before
yeah.
it flies. That runway, when the London plane takes off, I want to be soaring high for all the communities.
Wow, that is a very fantastic answer. Now, Mr. Gulati, if ever after May 2, you'll be sitting as our mayor of London, is your office be an open house wherein you can be reached, you can be seen, and you can be, the people can be able to speak to you? I mean, we know that there's always an appointment thing for a mayor, but the thing is, will you be that someone, a mayor, who can be open to your guests, at least to accommodate them?
100%. I would like to tell all your viewers, my home is always open to people, so my office will be open to all communities at all times. I'm not here to close doors for anybody, because if I close the doors, I will not be listening, I would not be hearing your problems, and indeed, we can only do well if we do it together. So I'm here for everybody. My doors will always be open, and I intend to come out to meet with you. Why would you have to trouble to come to my office? As I said, every week go to a different borough. And that's the element of success when you meet with people.
Okay. Regarding safety of London, okay, so we all know that when you go to Bond Street, to Oxford Street, there's rampant pickpocketing is happening there. So how can you make London a little bit at least safer for us?
Well, that's a terrific question. Firstly, I was mugged on my own high street. Two people came from behind, pushed me. I got very badly injured, and all I got was a police number, a reference number. Several things for safety. Firstly, reopen police stations.
Okay, yeah,
Okay, because crime rising. There have been 21 teenagers who lost their lives last year, 1,000 murders plus during the 8 years Mr. Khan has
yeah,
been in office. One life lost is one too many. So safety is paramount. Open the police stations, but one police station may be too far from the other. Police booths,
yeah.
so that you can go to a policeman and some quick action can be taken. Safety for all genders, particularly women, is paramount. You don't want somebody looking over their shoulder. Then you want to create dedicated cells for specialist sort of crime. So what I'm saying is, if it's homicide, you need a specialist there. If it's knife crime, again within homicide, you need a specialist cell, the women cell. So there's just harassment of different types that women suffer from. I also want to make sure You hire more policemen, but of the right type. So what that means is you pay them the right sort of compensation, but they can't do what they wish to do. I want them to understand the cultural nuances of each community. They got to be sensitive to that. So I've got to make sure that sort of a training is there, because otherwise it's not fair. And indeed, once you do all that, you measure them on a league table. So there are two policemen, they got to be measured on different parameters, both on prevention of crime and in solving crime. Because if they're not performing their duty, they need to be accountable. They would not be in that job anymore. So that's just, crime is, nobody wants to be a criminal. You got to look at it in a holistic fashion. You engage with the youth, good lighting, good surveillance, amongst the other things that I mentioned. And then, yes, you're correct. You may not be able to eradicate it, but you can mitigate it and also bring it down.